What's up guys, the Lazy Goldmaker here with another gold making video. And today we're going to take a look at some Shadowlands markets, and I'm going to take a deeper dive into the item level 262 and item level 233 crafted gear. And specifically we're going to take a look at what combinations of stats and progenitor enhancements, like what's the optimal items to craft, because you can pick all of this with optional reagents. We're going to see what you can get out of that, and what combinations are the best ones. So the first thing I've done is I've gone through all of the guides on Icy Veins. I think I used Icy Veins for every spec to figure out what are the top 2 secondary stats for each spec. So obviously this is going to vary a little bit based on the gear you already have, but this is going to be people are probably just going to look at the stat weight and pick that if they're going to buy. Obviously this is going to be what they generally want to prioritize. Now missives are going to add anywhere from 500 to 1000 gold to the finished item. So that's generally not going to be too much of a crafting cost difference. And my experience is that the top, we'll take a look even later, the top stat combinations can sell for a lot more. So we've gone through all of them, and we've summarized it here. So for every item type, we have all of them. We also have the preferred progenitor essentia. For progenitor essentia in general, Ayalic harmonizing stone is going to be like a pretty good generic one. There are some other ones that are potentially useful for every spec in the game. You have avoidance and heal, which is nice, just adding some survivability. And then you have stuff like speed or food and flask duration, stuff that adds a little bit of utility that you obviously can pick. For tanks, the erratic genesis matrix is pretty good in M+ in particular. It's going to be anywhere from 1.5 to 3% of your damage over a key for tank specs, so that one's pretty good for those. But that's about it. Outside of that, the progenitor enhancements don't add much, but by now, particularly stuff like Ayalic harmonizing stones are like 250, 300 gold to craft. They barely change the cost of crafting the item, and it is going to make them seem more powerful. But the interesting thing here is we can see that for every armor type, there's one that really stands out. So for plate, haste mastery is the best one. It covers 5 different specs. For mail, verse crit covers 3 specs. For leather, versatility crit once again with 4 specs. And for cloth, it's haste mastery covering 4 specs. Of course, 3 of those are just warlocks. So you might want to have some of the others to cover mages as well, the other very popular cloth class. So that would be the crit mastery or haste versatility or crit haste. So these are all of the types that you want to keep in stock. You can get the spreadsheet in the description to check this yourself. And then for rings necklaces, I had to do it a little bit more in depth. For rings necklaces here, we're going to assume the first one is going to be the main one. So that's going to be the ring type. So haste mastery means you want more haste. So this is going to be the preferred haste rings, quick oxide rings, quick oxide necklaces with mastery as the secondary stat. And you have the masterful mastery haste. Because there is a difference, obviously. For the rings, you actually get more of one stat than the other, whereas for all the other pieces, it's the same amount of each type of secondary, so it doesn't matter as much. But we still see for rings, haste has an incredible coverage. All 3 haste rings or haste combinations are popular, with haste mastery and haste versatility being very popular, covering a total of 14 different specs with just those 2 stat combinations. So this one you should probably craft your haste rings with some missives, so you don't end up with too many haste crit rings, which should sell a lot slower than anything else. For crit rings, you can see that they all have equal amounts of specs, so roughly equal amounts of demand. You might as well just craft them without any missives. If you get equal quantities, that's fine. For versatility, we can see that versatility crit is by a significant margin the most popular versatility ring, so definitely craft some of your versatility stuff with missives. And then mastery is interesting. Mastery is the only one where not every combination shows up. No one wants mastery verse. So don't craft, if you're crafting mastery rings, craft mastery, crit mastery, haste with missives. Then ignore the others. For these, if you're doing any of the armor types, I would suggest just testing out. But prioritize the top ones, but use missives, because this is a very small amount, very small subset of stat combinations that are super relevant. And as we'll see, the price difference is quite significant. So this is what you need to focus on. Focus on these, and you can, in general, most likely get a much higher price, and that's what we'll take a look at next. So here we are on Sylvanas, where I've started doing this. We have some Shadow Lace gear here, where I prioritized Crit Haste and Haste Mastery, two of the more popular cloth combinations. And I'm just going to show you, we're just going to run a very quick post scan, normally. And what you'll see is that for most of these items, I'm the only one with this specific item. I'm the only one who has this for sale, this specific combination. I think that TSM is still not including the progenitor enhancement in this consideration. But that means that I am posting at normal price. I choose the price. Now, one thing to note is that you can't just set your price as expensive as you want, because you have to be cheap enough that someone's willing to buy it. So if we take a look at, say, the Shadow Lace Mantle at the 262 level, we can see that most of these are selling about 20,000 gold. So is anyone going to be willing to pay 30,000 extra to get the perfect stat combination? Probably not. Are they willing to pay 10,000 extra? That's more likely. That's more likely. We can see the same here for the Shadow Lace Coil. Absolutely zero Haste Mastery combinations here. Someone else is trying to sell a Haste Mastery for a very expensive price. Now, I haven't found the correct price yet. That's the thing you have to figure out, particularly if you're not on a super high pop realm. This is not the super high pop realm. And I haven't really gotten any sales, even after I started crafting these with missives. I haven't gotten any meaningful sale. I think we sold some Shadow Lace trousers here, but they were undercut down. So that's the hard part. Right now I've been using 3.5 times crafting, but I think it's a little bit too high. And I probably need to, I'm going to reduce my my normal price. But if you're doing that, particularly for the armors, where there's a lot of different stat variations, then you will definitely want to be playing around with your normal price in your operation. I'm going to reduce mine even further. We're going to try 250%, see if we can get any takers. I don't want to reduce it too much all by once, because I want to figure out the pain point. How much are people actually willing to pay extra for this? I don't know. Sometimes people are willing to pay surprising amounts extra for the perfect stat combination. And if they want to, then they're going to be allowed to. I've seen screenshots of people selling stuff for like 100k, even quite late after this came out, by targeting the correct stat variations. So you definitely want to experiment a little bit with your normal price until you find the right level. This might also differ based on what competition you're facing. Are there any other people on your realm doing the same thing? Or is it not? Hard to say, but you can, as you can see here, I'm essentially not competing with anyone for these, because no one else has been using missives. They all have, if they're posting the popular stat variants at the same price as the regular ones, 20,000, they're going to get picked right away by anyone buying, because they're way more likely to pick these. So now I just need to figure out how much extra can I sell them for, which is going to be realm dependent and something you'll have to experiment with. But I can guarantee you that you will be able to sell these for more than, say, a non-popular stat combination that no one who's using cloth really cares about. So for item slots in general, obviously you want to target slots that people are likely to buy. Rings and necklaces are one of the best ones. Rings in particular, people always have a ring slot. Getting a guaranteed socket is really good. And then for other pieces, people might not prioritize putting it in a tier piece slot if they have tier pieces. But if they don't have a tier piece yet, then getting a 262 chest piece or helmet is going to be a significant upgrade. I've had sales across all armor slots in general in this market, but I haven't tried doing it much with I haven't had as much experience with targeting specific stat variants and specific progenitor enhancements, so I'm not quite sure what the optimal stat slots or what the optimal slots are going to be. This is also probably going to be realm dependent and based on what type of competition you're facing or not facing. So in general, I'd suggest like crafting 1 to 2 of each if you have the gold for it, and then you just see which sells faster and you start crafting more of those, and you don't recraft the ones that take a while to sell. So if it takes you 3 weeks to sell out 1 or 2 cloth chests, for instance, then it probably isn't worth it even crafting more of them. Just focus on whichever slots you're actually selling significant volume. So that's pretty much it for this video. As I said, there's the spreadsheet in the video description that's going to show you exactly what the best stat combinations are. It also shows you the stat combinations that I picked up from Icy Veins for each specific spec in the game. And then you can just use my my already published setup for selling Crafter's Mark Gear. To sell this, you're probably going to sell these for significantly more than the others, so you don't really need to bother much with setting up the missive costs in the operation or whatever. If you want, I'd suggest just increasing your progenitor Essentia price by 1,000 and be done with it. If you're enjoying the video, make sure you leave a like or a comment down below if there's anything you think I didn't cover well enough. Then I definitely wanna hit that in the comments. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye, guys.